Mark Harris. Mr. County Executive, good to have you back on the program.
Thank you for having me on the show, Mike.
Well, let's talk about why you're in this race, because some people see this as a conservative district. It went for Mitt Romney in 2012. They say it's an uphill battle for a Democrat. Why do you think you can win?
I think the Republican candidates are positioning themselves way to the right. There's even been some dispute between some of them over who's the furthest to the right. And I think they're misreading this district. I think the district wants someone who's a centrist. They want someone who's willing to compromise and work with other members of Congress to get things done. I don't think they're looking for extreme positions or obstruction. And I also have good credentials as a fiscal conservative. When I've been running Winnebago County, all of our budgets have balanced. The spending's down a little bit since I started in 2005. And the debt's down significantly since that time.
On your website, you talk about 4 priorities that you would have as a first-term congressman. What are they?
Well, there's 4 things that really can't wait much longer. One is to make Social Security viable for both the current retirees and for future generations of retirees. This is especially important since very few Americans now have pensions, and Social Security is the only stream of income that's assured for life. Another priority is a highway trust fund. The trust fund is going to be exhausted completely in August, and there'll be an enormous loss of jobs and also loss of a competitive advantage in international business if we allow our infrastructure to slip significantly. Plus, people want their roads and their bridges to be safe. Affordability of college for the middle class. Part of this is really a state issue, but I think the federal government can maybe put out some incentives to encourage states to continue to support their public institutions. There was a time when states paid about 80% of the total cost, and students paid about 20% through fees and tuitions. Now across the country, that's reversed itself, and it's typical for students to be paying 80% of the cost, and the state, through the public institutions, only paying 20%. That's the real driver of the increased cost of colleges. Also, minimum wage. You know, minimum wage has fluctuated tremendously as a percentage of the average hourly private sector wage. It's been as high as 58% in 1968. It's been as low as 34%. Right now, we're very close to that low point. Minimum wage should be indexed against the prior year's average private sector wage.
But you don't advocate going up to 1010 as the president has advocated. You come in at a much lower figure than that, don't you?
Well, what they're talking about is 1010 over 3 years. Right. I would say, why don't you set up an index that any time the minimum wage drops below 40% of the prior year's private sector average, that would automatically jump up to 42%. And right now, that would be more like 853, but it would continue to go up as that average wage went up.
Let me ask you about what is likely to be an issue for Republicans this fall. They really still don't like Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act.
But it is actually providing health care to a large number of people that might not otherwise have it. And there's aspects of it that everybody seems to like. People seem to like that they can cover their children up to age 26. People like that they can still get insurance if they had pre-existing conditions. People who have significant illnesses or lifelong illnesses are thrilled that there's not that $1 million maximum hanging over their head. It's actually good for the economy that people won't be pinned down to a single employer for fear of losing their insurance if they change. Those are good things that seem to be universally accepted.
So you would defend it if your Republican opponent says to you, Obamacare is a disaster, this is bad, this will ultimately have a serious negative consequence for this country. You're going to say, I disagree?
Well, I would defend the positive aspects of it, but I would say if you have a proposal or a change to modify the Affordable Care Act, bring it forward and I'll give it every consideration. I have no objection to making it better or dealing with some of the problems that are inherently in it.
All right. Mark Harris is the Winnebago County Executive and now a Democratic candidate for Congress in the 6th Congressional District. Thanks very much for being with us. You bet.